Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Commodity TV for you today here in Edmonton at the facilities of RavenQuest BioMed, you know, the cannabis company, which really starts in some weeks here, hopefully then with the growing, not only the planting, the seeding, but the growing of the cannabis and doing a ready product. And with me here is now George Robinson, after he was showing me around the last 3 hours, actually the whole facility, and I'm heavily impressed. George, welcome and great to have you here. Thanks that you have invited us here to really have a look. And to be honest, it's my first cannabis company and it's a different form of a site visit I'm used to.
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit different. I've seen by just sort of the way that you've looked at it and the way that you've sort of, your eyes have popped open on certain things. But it's a real privilege to have you up here in Canada and taking time to chat with us. Yeah,
absolutely top. And honestly, I want to give now our viewers in Germany, but also in all the other countries, they can reach us an insight into RavenQuest. RavenQuest, cannabis company, maybe you can give us a short overview.
Yeah, RavenQuest was actually started off the genesis of my 4 private companies that we rolled into this public body. I've been around the cannabis space since 2013, working some with the earliest cannabis producers and advising them on consulting them on many aspects of their business. We rolled those 4 companies into RavenQuest BioMed, and now we have the genesis of what you see here. But what really our baseline is that we were consultants, consulting to other cannabis companies on how to design facilities, secure facilities, grow cannabis, and how to do it properly to the Health Canada's standard operating procedures and regulations and guidelines. So we built our business off of that, and after a certain point we realized, why don't we do it for ourselves? Why don't we just grow? Why don't we build our own facility and use those skills, talents, and attributes to do that? And this is what you see here today. It's an output of one of my brainchilds, I guess, from 3 years ago, and now it's really here and it's really operating.
Yeah, fantastic. And this is not only this facility here in Edmonton, of course, you have several other facilities, and also you have placed your business on 4 solid columns. Maybe you can elaborate a bit. What makes you so special?
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Yeah, this is not our only facility. We have our facility in Markham, Ontario. That facility has got its license to cultivate and its B2B sales license, and very soon we'll have our full sales license there. We've also been asked to manage a company out of Bonify, out of Winnipeg, so we're actually managing that company for them based on some unfortunate events there, but we were able to save their licenses. To answer your question about the 4 pillars, this is in fact why the benefits and leverage that we have. Our first pillar is actually our management and consulting services business, which has been around the space since 2013. We've got full-time consultants that work in that space and are viewed by Health Canada and all the provincial and federal regulators as experts in their areas. And then we also have the management side, so we're managing businesses for them. We have other contracts that we'll be managing facilities. Our second pillar is our investment side, which you see here in our other facilities. We're making investments of either 100% or partial investments into other facilities where we think they're going to be great operators, and we can help them make their facilities even better. Our fourth pillar, which is extremely important, not only here, but on a worldwide basis, is working with our Indigenous community members here. These people have a great opportunity to acquire 20% or more of this industry, but more importantly, because of their sovereign state and the understanding of different regulations, they're allowed to save 22 to 25% in tax savings in the way they produce cannabis without having to pay the excise tax, the provincial tax, or the government GST tax that we have here. That's important. And lastly, our last pillar is this. We decided to build 3 words that make it really important to us: science, innovation, and opportunity. The science piece is our actually world-class research and development agreement with McGill University in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. One of the leading agricultural schools in all of the world, and they've wanted to come in and apply what they've known best practices in research and development, all different types of crops like rice, corn, soya bean, and cereal crops, take that same information and apply it to cannabis. So we're really lucky to have them our partner. So that's our 4 pillars. It's really a great approach.
Yeah, fantastic. So let's come to the business, because what I saw here looks to me like something really large scale, really growing, really future of the company. So what are your main targets for 2019? We saw that you signed a deal with the Wayland Group. I interviewed Ben Ward in October last year, and I found it really also a great company. And you have done a deal, I think, for 8,000 kilograms, right? With upfront payments and stuff like that. So what would you say looks like 2019, 2020 for the company? I sold my crystal ball last week, and maybe you have the magician, or what do you say, that the magical wand, maybe like Harry Potter. We don't know it. It's a forward-looking statement, but maybe you can give our viewers an idea of what your company would look like in 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. So we do have magic wands, and it is forward-looking, but I can tell you this. That agreement with Wayland was for 8,000 kilograms. It represents about $44 million in revenue streams. So that's really interesting. That's above our pro forma and all of our guidance targets that we put towards our board, and we've made comment on right across the area. So we're above that target, but more importantly, we're selling to them at bulk. We don't have those costs to individually package it, so all of that margin drops to the bottom of the line. If we take a look at our next contract supply agreement with the BC government here, the British Columbia government here in Canada, that represents another $10 to $12 million in revenue. So we look at 2019, we look at about $50 to $52 million of revenue coming. As we look forward from the cannabis sales into 2020, that looks more in the area of 71 to 72 million, and that does not require any future expansion. That's just the real facilities that are finished and operating, rather than any other type of metrics such as funded capacity. We actually have built capacity.
Fantastic. Does the company has any debt?
We have a little bit of convertible debenture, but we're really managing that very well. It's about $12 million, so it's really, really tiny. Relative to this building right here, if you take a look at it as a collateralized asset, you're probably looking at a $20 to $40 million collateralized asset. The balance sheet's going to look really good.
Absolutely. I would sign that after what I have seen today, honestly.
Thank you.
Question is, of course, revenue is one nice thing to have, yeah? How do you want to grow the revenue? But even more important, what might be an idea for a margin?
Yeah, so I think the margin numbers are going to be probably the same or a bit better than anyone else in the industry that are out there. So the industry's margin is running sort of EBITDA about 42 to 68%. We're going to be at the high end of that number, as it looks like right now. Understandably, when we're growing in this type of environment, we are at or less than a greenhouse. So if you think a greenhouse is less money to operate, because we grow in such tight growing conditions, we have excellent margin potential here in the business. But as we continue to look forward, we do have agreements that we've made with One Life Cannabis. We also have our agreements that we have with our Indigenous clients. So we have lots of scalability. And we have other opportunities that are in front of us that we just can't quite talk about yet.
Of course.
But let's just say that 2020 looks remarkable.
Fantastic. And you just had a news out, I think yesterday it was, that you have become also the CEO of another company. But I think that does not mean that you are giving up now RavenQuest. Maybe it looks more like that you have an opportunity to integrate, to merge, or whatever. Yeah,
so this is Bonify. So essentially what we did, unfortunately, they had some senior management that had made some decisions that we found to have irregularities around the Health Canada requirement, and they brought in some unauthorized cannabis. We had to relieve those and terminate those senior executives. So this is really a symbolic role for me to go in and actually act as a director and officer of the company, so I can sign off, rather than having the board move in and put themselves in a position of making tactical decisions, and that directors and liability insurance really being in play. So with our management services contract, they wanted to further extend that to provide some opportunities for the insurance providers, the banks, and the shareholders to know that there's someone in charge and could sign off. So it's symbolic, but it's not taking my time away. It's just a third business that we're operating, and we're fully scaled out to do that. So this is not going to impact at all any of the RavenQuest business. It's just an adder to our business.
Fantastic. Coming, maybe I wouldn't say risk of the business. I mean, in mining, you would say, what is the metallurgy? What is the lookout? How does the product come out of the rock? Yeah.
Yep.
What might be a risk you might face? Do you think you have a good risk control? And also, what is missing that you can really start now here? That you can say, okay, we are ready to rumble. Let's bring in the seeds, start to plant, and start to produce.
Yeah, so from a risk factor perspective, I think we've tried to manage it, at least in our 2 facilities that we have 100% control of. We put so much redundancy in, and I think we've got that under control. The risk really comes into, how quickly can other manufacturers scale up their operating facilities to sort of come into a place where there may be a little more price pressure on the revenue side of the business. But I see ourselves as uniquely positioned. 3 typical sales channels that we'd be looking at. The medicinal channel, which is still a very lucrative channel, $8+ per gram in that area. We take a look at lifestyle improvement, which is an emerging market coming here in October when we can do more topicals and other types of delivery methods. That's still going to be a very profitable chain. And then we have our retail. So the retail side's mostly impacted, and that's the risk we look at. But we're also starting to take a look at some of those things we can't talk about. How do we extend out into Europe? How do we extend out into other places? So we think from a risk factor, if we continue to take a look at 3 distinct sales channels, but not only here in Canada, but really take what our website name is, RQB Global, and really accent on the global side, it really reduces that revenue risk. I think on the growing side, we've got that mostly managed. Remembering, we have a double PhD, Dr. Simranjeet Kaur, who runs all of our plant health, and she's really into this and she really understands this. So we rely heavily on her to make sure that the plant side's not a problem or a risk that we have to manage.
Super. And what is missing here that you can start? Is like a pyramid, or what do you need?
So in this particular facility, all we're looking for is our license to cultivate. So we're working with Health Canada now. We're going through what we call the review process of the evidence package. We're down to only supplying 2 more bits of information to them, and then they can review that. Those are the last 2 questions we understand that they need. So we're very close, very, very imminent that we're going to have the license to cultivate.
Super.
And then we'll go through what we talked about earlier, is we're going to pop a bunch of seeds here, make sure we start off with a super clean facility, no other plant material from anywhere else, and then we're up and loaded. You can see how many gardens we have in this facility. We're going to ramp up, and very quickly we'll be producing 150 kilograms every week out of this facility.
Wow.
Even at reasonable kind of revenue numbers, that's between 600 and 750,000 Canadian dollars every week. Isn't that impressive?
That's really impressive. I like that. Perfect, especially with the margin you said.
Thank you, yes.
Great, fantastic. Well, George, thank you very much. That really looks outstanding, I would say, and I have a very good feeling that we see us quite early again. And we want to keep updated on the progress, of course, and we wait for the last license, right?
Exactly, and we are always invited. We'd love you to come out again. When we have these spin-in with plants, it's going to be a pretty unique and dynamic time. We'd love you to have come out again.
Definitely. Thank you very much, George.
Cheers,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, there was George Robinson, the CEO of RavenQuest BioMed, and you heard it and you have seen it also earlier in our roundup, would have said, in our show, what we have done here in the facility. It is really outstanding. It is very impressive, and to be honest, for me, a little bit not understandable that the company is valued where it is today compared to the peers, because what I see here, I would say within this quarter, they are ready to rumble, they are really ready to start, they have a great contract with Wayland in place, they are expanding, they have several facilities, they have brought the risk down, and what George showed me, this is a real sustainable business, and it's really environmental friendly, and this is exactly what the future is. And as I always love to say, cannabis is not recyclable. The product is not recyclable. When it's smoked, it's consumed, it's done. So it has to be rebuilt. So that's a perpetuum mobile with revenues and a revenue stream. That's exactly what this company is creating. And I must say also, I'm very impressed from the intellectual property they have here, from the technology they have, and how they handle the things and how they planned it. So I think the execution looks fantastic. Check out the company. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Edmonton.